Hi, this is Lisa
and Jason
from the Designated Quizzers podcast, and you're listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 294, Team America World Police Movie Review. I'm Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. This week, Derek, it was over to you to nominate a movie, and you wanted to go back 20 years. It's hard to believe it's been 20 years since this came out, but we went back 20 years and we watched Team America World Police, and we're going to have our review of that in a minute. But before we get to our movie, Derek, my friend, what is new in the world of pop culture for you?
Hey, Chris. Hi. Well, good news, bad news. Bad news is I did not have a chance to watch a documentary this week, but I have heard there's a very good Jim Henson documentary that's circulating on Disney Plus, which is on my radar. I haven't watched it yet, but that one's coming soon. But I did get a chance to go to the movie theater to catch a more recent film this week. My wife and I had a chance to go and see the latest Mad Max offering called Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. So you and I had a chance to watch Mad Max Fury Road on this podcast a while back. I believe you liked it. I loved it. I thought it was great. And so did a lot of other people. It was nominated for Best Picture along with a lot of other technical awards. And it won
a bunch of technical awards.
It definitely did. I mean, considering takes place in the desert, it made a big splash when it came out. And so, of course, when a movie does that well, what's the most obvious answer to what to do next? You do a sequel. Or if that doesn't work, you do a prequel. So that's what this is. This is the story of how the character Furiosa got to where she was in Mad Max Fury Road. So love it, hate it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I think the Mad Max Fury Road set the bar so incredibly high that no matter what they did next, it was not going to meet that standard. It was good. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I saw it. It had some interesting visuals. It filled in the blanks on some of those story gaps. But as we saw with the Star Wars prequels, you sort of keep asking yourself, do I really need to know the story of what came before this? This was great. I don't necessarily need to know what came before it. That might be exciting and it might not be, but do I really need to know? And that was sort of what I kept thinking in this one was, honestly, the most interesting part of the movie, the question that I kept asking is, how does she lose her arm? And I talked to some people after, and they're like, really? That's all you were thinking about the whole movie? I'm like, well, yeah, I really didn't care about any of the rest of it, but it was fine. I mean, it was decent. I'm glad I saw it in the theater because, again, with that kind of movie, you get that big spectacle, and seeing it in the theater just adds those elements.
Sure.
But yeah, I found it was sort of that the answer to a question that I didn't really feel needed to be asked. So I would sort of give it like a moderate thumbs up if you're thinking about it.
Okay.
And then I had a chance to, again, you go onto your Amazons and Netflix, and it says, here's something we think you might like. And it suggested a movie I had never heard of called The Outfit. And I'm like, okay, well, what's this about? And it's about, it's like a period piece. It takes place in like the 50s in Chicago. And it's, I think it might have originally been conceived of as a stage play because it all takes place in like one room, the whole, 90-minute movie. And it stars Mark Rylance, who is a British actor. He's a little bit older. He's done a lot of stuff in the last couple of years, like in the last decade. He was, I think he was in The Bridge of Spies, if I remember correctly, and won an Oscar for it. And for sci-fi nerds, he was in Ready Player One. He was sort of the Steve Jobs character who planted the treasure hunt that they were all going after. Anyway. The movie is he plays a tailor, and there's like the mafia has a drop box in his tailor office, in his tailor business, where they can drop messages to other mobsters. And so of course the first 5-10 minutes they set all this up, and then of course what happens, mobsters show up, and it's like there's shootouts and there's double crosses, and it's interesting. The movie's called The Outfit, which is sort of a play on the word, because he's a tailor, an outfit being like a clothing, the type of clothing, but also there's like a secret mafia society called The Outfit, which is in there as well. And then it was interesting. It was a lot more dialogue. Again, that's why I thought it was like probably a stage play. It's very dialogue driven, and it takes place all in his tailor shop. But it was good. I really liked it. It was it came recommended based on the things I've already watched, and I'm scary to admit, but the algorithm has my number. It suggests something, I watch it, and I go, wow, that was pretty good. That algorithm really knows me. So I thought The Outfit was pretty good. If honestly, I don't remember which one it was on. Probably Amazon. So anyway, something to take a look at. Nice. Those are my 2 for this week. No documentaries. I'm sorry.
So this week I took a page out of your playbook, Derek, and guess what? I watched a documentary.
All right.
40 days and 40 nights. He watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's
Chris's
documentaries.
Chris's
documentaries.
Our producer didn't have time to make up a new drop, so I just talked over it. Sorry. Okay, so my wife and I found this 8-part series called Unlocked, a Jail Experiment. And she's like, oh, I want to watch this. So it's about this warden in Arkansas who has this idea that he wants to empower the inmates by giving them more freedom, like not setting them free, from the jail, but like within the jail. And he tries to get them to assume like ownership of their situation. So they start off on this, like they call it 23-1 lockdown. So that's where the inmates are locked in their cells for 23 hours and they get 1 hour a day to come out and walk around, like in the yard or the common area with like these chessboards, that sort of thing. So,
is it like a maximum security prison? Like, are they all in there for like murders and stuff?
Yes, it is. And it's typical reality TV in the sense that it's totally manipulated and edited for maximum effect. Like, I mean, reality TV producers are just storytellers, just like scripted TV producers are. Like, never forget that, right? But so it was okay. But the big thing was all the inmates, like when they're being interviewed and, they're talking about things, they all say, know what I'm saying? Like a dozen times a minute. And before you just jump on me, and like it's not like it's a racial vernacular thing. Like the majority of the prisoners, vast majority of the prisoners were white. But they all say, know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? I don't know about you, Derek, but when I'm watching 10 hours of anything where there's like a catchphrase or a way of talking or even accents, I start to pick up on it. So I've heard about this too, where people like move to a different country and then they like assume the accent, you know what I mean, of where they go. So I'm walking around my house this week and all I'm doing is saying, know what I'm saying? Know what I'm saying? I didn't mean to do it. I think it just kept coming out of me. So my kids are like, Dad, what's gotten into you? And I just kept saying things like, I'm like, man, you need to pick up your clothes. Know what I'm saying? The dog needs to be fed, man. If you don't feed the dog, she's going to die. Know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh man, I got to leave for work or I'm going to be late. Know what I'm saying? So I did this whole week. My kids, who already think I'm the lamest guy ever, really, really now think I'm lame. I guess because I am. So anyway, I got this.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
Okay, Derek, I got a joke for you. Know what I'm saying? So I figured since we're doing Team America, World Police, that I would tell a puppet joke for everyone. Okay. So Derek, how did the man help his friend get a job as a marionette puppeteer?
I'm guessing something about no strings attached, but I don't know.
Let's just say he pulled a few strings.
Dude, that was awful.
Is there any chance you might have a documentary for us this week?
Derek's Dogs! Party time! Excellent!
Colonel Sanders.
Slow down there, Chris.
Was he finger licking good?
Oh, my.
I can think of 11 reasons not to like that.
2 of which are salt and pepper.
Oh, I heard about this.
Oh my God, I don't know if we can be friends anymore.
But I appreciate the effort.
Back the truck up, hold it.
More than just white dudes.
2 of my favorite things, Star Wars and beer. All right, Derek, it was over to you this week, and you wanted us to go back to 2004 and watch Team America, World Police. I always ask this question when it's over to you for your movie. Why this movie? Why did you want us to go back and watch this movie and review it?
All right, so before I even get into that, I just have to say, you've said the title of this movie like 4 times since we started the podcast, and I've had to take every ounce of my strength to not say yeah after every single time. It's like a reflex action where you say the title of the movie and that's the response I want to give. It's just something that's ingrained in my body from the very first time I ever saw this movie. It's never gone away, and it's just been amped to 100 this week since we watched the movie. So I hadn't seen this movie in I don't want to say 20 years, but a while. Like, I saw it in the theater, loved it, and I bought the DVD and I watched it when it first came out. And I want to say that's probably it. I don't think I've actually sat down and watched the entire thing in, let's say, 18 or 19 years. And so part of the reason I wanted to go back and watch it was because I remembered enjoying it, and it's been a while, and because I wanted to do a comedy, and I had a couple on my list, and this one, you and I did a little talk before the last show, and I'm like, well, which of these do you want to watch? And when this one came up, you're like, oh, I think that's the winner. So, and I think you made the right choice, because I really enjoyed going back to watch this again. And one of the reasons that I wanted to go back and watch it, one of the reasons that I suggested it for the show, is like so many of the things that Trey Parker and Matt Stone do. Like, obviously they're most famous for South Park, but they have a real keen eye when it comes to social commentary, and they can really point things out in a way that is ridiculous yet still makes a strong point. Their ability to do satire, their ability to do social commentary is just, it's unparalleled. Like, they've got a gift that other people just can't touch. And I remember when this came out that it was that idea of just, it says right in the title, that Team America is the world police. Like, this whole idea that just like, we're Americans, we're going to come in and we're going to save the day, and that's it. And when I saw it originally, I got the joke and I got what they were talking about, and it worked. And I thought, I wonder how this is going to hold up 20 years later. Man, oh man, let me tell you, I think I liked it even more this week than I did the first time I saw it, largely because 20 years have passed, and what they were talking about in 2004 seems so much more relevant 20 years later. So I'm so glad that we watched this movie, and I hope that you have some interesting things to contribute. And it wasn't one of these ones where you're like, I watched it again and I hated it. But Chris, what did you think? You had seen this before, so this was a rewatch?
Yeah, it was a rewatch. Like you, I saw this in the theater when it came out because I really liked South Park back in the day. And so I liked them for the most part. Like, it was Trey Parker and Matt Stone. I liked a lot of their stuff. So yeah, I went to see, and like you too, I haven't seen it in damn near 20 years for whatever reason. And so I went back and watched it again. Here was my initial take sitting down and watching this movie. So for years, Derek, I've often said that Airplane is the funniest movie ever made. I say that all the time.
You've said that more than once.
I stand corrected. After going back and watching this 20 years later, this is the funniest movie ever made in the history of movies. I'm telling you.
Wow.
It was it not only did it stand up, like you said, it's even better now than it was
I agree.
then. Like,
absolutely.
Wow. And funny right from the get-go. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's dig into this movie. So it was directed by Trey Parker, written by Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and Pam Brady, and produced by Scott Rudin, Trey Parker, Matt Stone. So it was released on October the 15th, 2004, and it was made on a budget of $32 million, and it took in $51 million at the box office. So it wasn't a huge hit, that's for sure. Especially if we go back and look at 2004. The number one movie that year was a sequel. Actually, the first two movies that year.
Let me guess. 2004, was one of them a Pirates of the Caribbean sequel?
It was not. No.
Okay. Hold on. Give me another second. 2004. So 2000. So it wouldn't have been Lord of the Rings.
Nope, that was the year before.
It wouldn't have been the main Marvel universe yet.
Not there yet.
Was it a Harry Potter movie?
No, that was down a bit further. Down a bit further. The number one movie was Shrek 2. $441 million. Oh
my God.
The second movie that year was Spider-Man 2.
Oh, so it was a Marvel movie just
sort of, I guess.
Marvel
Yeah.
universe.
And number 3 was The Passion of the Christ. Remember how big that was at the box office back then?
Yeah.
Meet the Fockers was number 4. The Incredibles were number 5. Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban was number 6. Followed up by The Day After Tomorrow, The Bourne Supremacy, National Treasure, and The Polar Express, rounding out the top 10. So a grand total of 25 movies made over $100 million at the box office in 2001.
Wow.
25 movies. So that just seems like a lot to me. So what I did was I actually went and I did some digging into this a little bit. Okay? Because I wanted to see like how many movies have like in a single season, a single year made over $100 million. 2013. So 25 for 2004, right? In 2013, 35 movies made over $100 million.
Well, and that is impressive, but you got to think the more recent the movies are, the more expensive ticket prices are. And there was a time there where we had fads of like 3D, which charge extra money, and IMAX, which charge extra money. So while these numbers are very impressive, there are other things to take into consideration. Mm-hmm. But still, that many movies is still a pretty absurd amount of money.
That was in 2013. The second one was 2018, had 34 movies that grossed over 100 million, and also had 3 movies that year in 2018 that grossed over $500 million.
Wow.
Including Black Panther, which was number 1.
I was going to say, one of those had to be a Marvel movie.
Yeah. And like even in that 3, so if we go all the way down, let's just go down here because it's all you're right. Like it's a lot of newer movies, but if I go down to number 19 before we get out of the 2000s, 1999 is at number 19, had 21 $100 million movies. Jeez. And then it isn't, you have to go down a lot for like 1997 had 15, 1996 had 15, 1995 had 10. And then you go all the way. I'm just trying to see we get back to the 70s. We do. 1978 had 5 movies gross over $100 million. Grease was the number 1 movie that year.
I think also one of the other things to take into consideration is sequels tend to gross a disproportionate amount of money because there's an expectation based on how good the first one was. And I think that in the last 20 years, we've seen way more sequels than we ever saw in the 70s and 80s. So I think that's definitely another thing to be taken into consideration.
You can go all the way back to the 30s, though. 1937 even had 1 movie that grossed over $100 million. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. 1939 had Gone with the Wind. So it had 1 movie that grossed over $100 million. But you're right. Like, I mean, obviously, as you get newer, they start charging more money and all that kind of stuff. But Team America finished in 84th place at the box office in 2004. But the thing is, like, Trey Parker and Matt Stone aren't exactly box office champs. Let's be honest, right?
No.
Even South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut, it only finished 47th place in 1999. It took in $52 million. So.
But I think that one of the things that we've learned is that their product, their art, their films, their TV shows have staying power, unlike a lot of the things that come out that from their peers at the time.
That make more money,
Yeah, it's like, and believe me, the dollars and cents, that talks, dollars talk. So, someone who made, a couple $100 million in their movie, they're going to be hailed as heroes. But like you said, it's 20 years later. Which movies are we talking about? Probably not too many of those ones from the top list. Like, when was the last time someone said, I can't wait to go home and watch Shrek 2 tonight? Unless you got, a little kid who's on a Shrek binge. But, you get things like this where it's like, hey, let's go watch Team America again. You're like, yeah, okay, I'll give it a go. And then you're like, oh my God, I forgot how good this was.
So let's talk a little bit about Trey Parker and Matt Stone, because I think they're just interesting guys. So they originally met in 1989 at the University of Colorado Boulder. And Parker had a double major. He majored in film, no surprise, and his other major was Japanese, of all things. Go figure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Matt Stone was a math major. And then they met and they started making student films together, and they just kind of went from there. And I got to say, like, I remember when South Park first came out, I loved it right from the get-go. I used to work at a bar back in like 1998, and I would always come home after work and I'd watch it on Comedy Central late at night. Mm-hmm. It was some of the funniest stuff I'd ever seen. And the thing was, it just kept getting better and better and better and better. And it's funny too, because back then I got the thing with Trey Parker and Matt Stone, you don't know much about these guys, you know, like their personal lives or anything. I always thought that they were gay. I don't know why. For some reason, I just always got that impression. I think a lot of their humor and stuff, and like South Park always was very, I don't want to say
theatrical. It was also very musical.
Yeah, it was. That's not even that. They seemed very open to discuss, you know, gay issues and stuff. And I guess I don't know why I got that impression, but Trey Parker's been married to 3 different women, and Matt Stone has been married to his wife for over 25 years. So these guys are just an amazing team. There's just something that clicks with them. It's like they're like the Lennon and McCartney of lewd humor. You know what I mean?
That's a fair comparison.
Like they just click.
And they've been showered with accolades and awards like over the course of their career. Like they won a Peabody Award. Like not a lot of people walk around that can say that. They do this kind of work.
I know. And the thing with them is too, that I've always found interesting too, is they're at their best when they're behind the camera. Like when they do animation and voice work, and in this case, marionettes. Like that's when they really shine. Whenever they do stuff in front of the camera, it seems to fall flat. Like Basketball and Orgasmo. Like I'm not saying those movies are terrible, but they just
have
don't.
Their moments, but
they just don't connect with audiences the same when they're themselves. Don't you think?
Yeah, and let me ask you. I think I know the answer to this, but did you ever have a chance to see the play The Book of Mormon?
I did. So yes, I had a chance to see it. You know, I mean, it premiered on Broadway like in 2011. I went to see it in Toronto when it came to Toronto, but it was a huge success. It won 9 Tony Awards. It won Best Musical. It won a Grammy Award for Best Musical Theater Album. And the play has grossed over $1 billion worldwide. It's huge.
I don't think these guys are hurting for money.
No.
And I saw it and loved it. It was I'm not a big fan of musicals to begin with, but oh my God, I can't wait for that one to come back around it again. I can't wait to go back. It was fantastic. Yeah, I
go again. And the thing that always got me about that when I went to see it, because I used to do musical theater back in the day when I was an actor on stage, Broadway veterans, like people that have been around forever on Broadway, producing plays, you know, starring in plays, that sort of thing, writing them. They must have been so at those guys, because they're like, we've been doing this our whole life, and these 2 guys just saunter in here and just show us how it's done. Because they did. They just schooled everybody on Broadway. This is how you do a musical right here, you know? So this movie, just like with a lot of the work that Parker and Stone do, they do the majority of the voice work.
Yeah.
And I saw an interview with them years ago, and they said the reason that they like to do almost all the voice work is that they hate actors. They just hate working with actors. So that's why they do it. It's not so much that they're like, you know, egotistical and they want to like put themselves in it. They just hate working with actors. So that's why they do it. So this movie was rated R. I was reading this, though. It's so funny. Yeah, no kidding. But it's rated R for graphic, crude, and sexual humor, violent images, and strong language, all involving puppets. That's what it says on the MPAA rating, which I thought was interesting. So let's start with the puppets. This is where things got to get started with. So remember the show Thunderbirds?
I've never actually watched it, but I am familiar with it.
I was aware of it, but like I never saw an episode of it. It always looked creepy to me as a kid. So like you, I had never seen it. But Trey Parker and Matt Stone were apparently big fans of that show. So now Thunderbirds used like this different form of puppetry. Like it was called super marionation. And they really tried to hide the wires. Like they even like went to painstakingly to make them like black and stuff so they would be hidden. And they used these solenoids in the heads to articulate the mouths and stuff. So they were obviously inspired by Thunderbirds. But really this movie is a spoof of like Jerry Bruckheimer action movies, wouldn't you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When we watched it, that's what my wife said. She goes, I guess they just watched all the action movies from the 90s, wrote down all the tropes, all the stereotypes, and just went, we got to make sure all of these things are in our movie. And they just had a checklist. They're like, yep, we got that, we got that, we got that. And I think that's part of what makes it so great.
Me too. I agree. So the puppets themselves. So obviously you can tell there's a couple of the Team America guys, like Gary. He looks like Trey Parker. You can tell it kind of like is, you know, made on his face. And there's like one of the guys who looks like Matt Stone. But the famous people that are in it, oh my God. So we have to, of course, start with your boyfriend,
Matt Damon.
When they made the Matt Damon puppet, I guess when Trey Parker and Matt, so they envisioned him to be like part of the, you know, the movie and like talk and articulate and all this. They took one look at it and they thought it didn't really look like Matt Damon. They thought, or it like kind of, it does though, I think, but they thought that it looked like it was like mentally handicapped. So that's why they had him only say his name, Matt Damon. They were like, look at it. It looks so weird. So that one was funny. Michael Moore was another one. I wanted to talk about this one for a bit because they really skewer him a lot. And I was like, why? Because they seem to be kind of leftist a little bit. We'll get into that in a bit. But it turns out Matt Stone has had a beef with Michael Moore for like years. So you've seen Bowling for Columbine, right?
A couple of times, not in a while, but yeah, I saw it when it came out.
You know, Matt Stone appears in the film because he's from Littleton, Colorado, right?
Yeah. They talk about like the school shootings and stuff.
Yeah. Well, I never picked up on this, but right after his interview in the movie goes right into that animated segment. Remember the history of white people in America?
I honestly don't, but...
Anyway, they interview Matt Stone and then they go into this animated thing. So apparently, Matt Stone felt that the fact that they placed this animated segment right after his appearance, that Michael Moore was giving the impression that Matt Stone did the animated segment.
Oh, okay.
Never crossed my mind when I watched it. And to be perfectly honest, it seems like kind of a stupid beef for Matt Stone to stew over. But anyway, he was mad at Michael Moore. And so that's why they make him out to be such a buffoon in this movie. You know, like they stuffed the puppet with ham when they blew it up and everything. And they had him like eating all the food and everything. But anyway, so I thought that was interesting. You mentioned the political and social commentary. And the big one in it, like you touched on, was the American identity. They portray Americans as brash, egotistical, and aloof with like zero self-awareness. Yeah. Pretty much how the rest of the world views Americans, you know? But the thing is, I think
it's fair, yeah.
You rarely see this reflected in American pop culture. Very rarely. The only other one that stands out to me was, remember when we were watching, I think we reviewed it on here, Big Trouble in Little China. We reviewed that movie.
Yes.
I think
we did.
And to me, they made out that lead character, that Jack Burton, to be like this, you know, sort of brash, egotistical American.
Yes.
Other than that, you don't see it very often in American films. It's like Americans don't want to admit it or they don't see it, you know, but as Canadians, you know, we can kind of look, you know, from the outside in and say like, that's what Americans are kind of, at least that's how Americans are viewed by a lot of people in the world. And this movie actually tackles that, which I think is important.
Well, and I like the idea also that it's like there doesn't seem to be any real accountability. Like, hey, we've saved you. And it's like, you've destroyed absolutely everything. Like, how can you be so oblivious to the collateral damage and still expect a thank you? Oh, you know, we stopped the guy. It's like, but you blew up the Eiffel Tower and the pyramids of Giza. Oh, you know, collateral damage. Like, it just, but to me that, it's like, that's part of the humor.
It is. That's what makes it so funny. Yeah.
But it's also so, I don't want to say accurate, but it's what the way people think these things work, and
it cuts to the bone. It does.
Yeah, like there's no forgiveness.
Team America is supposed to be the good guys who go into these countries and like free them from terrorists. But everywhere they go, they just leave the country in shambles. Like they're in Paris and the guy pulls out the missile launcher just to take out a single terrorist that's running away. And he just destroys the Eiffel Tower, which then falls into Paris and flattens a whole bunch of buildings. And the guy's just like, oh, damn, I missed him. Like, he doesn't even take into account that he ruined the Eiffel Tower. And then right after that, the girl comes zooming in on the jet plane that has all the missiles on it. She's like, don't worry. I got him in my sights. He's headed for the Louvre. like, oh, God.
Oh, no. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
Like, no. And then after it's over, they like turned all the citizens in Paris are like, don't worry, we stopped the terrorists. And everybody just looks around with their mouths open because Paris is destroyed. And then later in the desert, they destroy the Sphinx. Like, it's almost like Team America. Like, it's almost like a metaphor for the country at large, you know? But yeah, but still, like Matt Stone and Trey Parker, they don't take things too seriously, obviously. Like, I think Matt Stone once said, you know, they asked him, like, what are your politics? And he's like, my politics? I'm setting a puppet on fire. That's my politics. you know?
Yeah.
So like they don't get overly political. They just observe, I think, and commentate on things, right?
Yeah.
The two of them have said that they're basically libertarians. Like they're not left or right on the political. They poke fun at conservatives. They poke fun at liberals. You know, they make liberals out to be these out of touch do-gooders. And they obviously have some disdain for left-leaning actors who go on cable news and stuff because they're like, oh, you just read what we saw in the newspaper or whatever the comment was. So, so like I say, they're not really overly political, but the film is definitely a commentary. So I think that's one of the big things about the film. So celebrities, they skewer them in this movie. They make puppets out to look like him and stuff. But they got a lot of support from celebrities going into the movie. Like George Clooney loved it, you know, although he's been a part of South Park right from the first season.
Yeah, I was going to say he's made appearances on there. Or he lent his voice talents to their show, and he had a voice in the movie as well in the South Park Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. And I heard that.
Because he was the doctor. We tried to save him. We tried, and then he's like, it never gets easier. And he just walks away.
Yeah. He's like, we accidentally put your heart in the place of a baked potato.
A baked potato.
I can't remember the exact line, but yeah, apparently he thought it was funny, and apparently Matt Damon thought it was funny as well. And I guess at this point, it's like
Matt Damon's a friend of them. He's a friend of theirs, yeah.
And that's it. It's like, you got to think about it. It's like, what do you have to gain by picking a fight with them? Like, you know, even if you disagreed and thought, oh, I wasn't treated very, very fairly in their movie, you're better off to just say, it's all in good fun. I accept it. And that's it. It's over. It's not a story. Whereas if you're like, oh my God, they ruined my life. It's like, now it's a story, and you know what's going to happen? They're going to keep making fun of you because they know it's getting under your skin. Like we've seen that with other celebrities. So what I do think that like I read through the notes, and some of the celebrities came right out and said, like, I loved it. I thought it was great. And I thought it was done in, you know, all in good fun, rah, rah, rah. But again, I hope that the ones that actually came out and said that genuinely felt that way, because I thought it was funny. Like I thought that all the actors were handled in a way that was humorous.
I agree. Even Alec Baldwin liked it, but you know one who didn't was Sean Penn. He hated it. Yeah, Sean Penn takes himself way too friggin' seriously, man. I remember he was at the Oscars when Chris Rock was hosting, and Chris Rock made a joke early on about Jude Law, and he was like, Jude Law is in every single movie this year. That was it, you know? And then later on, Sean Penn came out and he was like calling out Chris Rock for that. And like, Sean Penn is a like, he just is. He just takes himself too seriously. So Trey Parker, Matt Stone working on this movie, they worked like 15-hour days, and they both waived their fee in order to get the movie made. And both of them have said that making this movie was the worst experience of their professional careers. Matt Stone initially said he would never make another movie with Trey Parker again after this, because it was just so hard to make. And Trey Parker once said, if someone threatened to kill his family, he still would not make another puppet movie. So apparently the creative process was tough, but man, the end result was fantastic. So yeah. Let's talk about some scenes. There's a lot of scenes in this movie.
Oh my God. Let me talk. So let me start with one of my favorites, which happens very early on, is when they go to recruit Gary, the world's greatest actor.
Yep.
And he's starring in the movie, in the play Lease, which is clearly a play, a spin-off of Rent, which was big in the late 90s. And again, if you know the play Rent, a lot of the characters in that film have AIDS. That's a big part of the storyline. And so what is the song from Lease? It's straight up, no beating around the bush. Everybody has AIDS. AIDS. And the lyrics, oh my God.
They're so funny.
They are so funny. My wife and I were watching it. Again, we'd seen this before. And like we knew, it's funny because one of the things, whenever we're watching TV and like it's like a very serious show or a very serious drama, and they talk about a character, you know, oh my God, this character has AIDS, we both turn to each other and go, everybody has AIDS, AIDS. So that's been like a running gag in my house for 20 years. So when we actually saw it again, we were crying. We were laughing so much. And then when you hear the rest, like we forgot what the rest of the lyrics for the song, because there are actual lyrics.
I know.
And my wife's like, oh my God, did he just say what did he just say? I was like, we got to rewind that. It's like, how did they get away with that 20 years ago, let alone?
I know.
Yeah,
and like when he's like, and so this is the end of our story. and everyone is dead from AIDS. Like, what? My father, AIDS. My sister, AIDS. My uncle and her cousin and her best friend. Like you said, the end of it where there's like just saying AIDS over and over and over again the whole time. It was just so outrageous. But it's a great way to start the film too, because it's like over the top. You're like, oh my God, what am I in for?
Absolutely. And so, anyway, I'll say that for later. But no, that like right out of the gate, like, I mean, obviously the opening sequence is great just to set up like, oh, they are the quote world police, but they're just going to demolish everything. Like it's an interesting and fun sequence. But then you cut to this where they're like, oh, we need to recruit the world's greatest actor. It's just, oh my God, it's such a great way to just kick this off in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
And right before that too, like you mentioned, like when the movie opens up too, if you remember, it opens up with these little marionette puppets, and you're looking at it going, what the hell is this? They look weird and fake. And then it pulls back and you realize that there's an actual marionette doing a marionette show. Yeah. And so here's a funny thing. When they first did that opening and they showed the movie, the finished film, to the studio execs freaked because they're watching this and they see these cheap marionette puppets and they're like, we spent $32 million on this. And they started freaking out until the camera pulled back and then you saw the big production values of the whole thing, But a scene early in the film that right after that I thought was funny too was Spotswood, when he tries to recruit Gary and he gets him into the limo.
Yeah.
I can't even repeat it here, but what he says to him had me just dying laughing. And then I thought it was Spotswood himself was just funny as hell. There's one scene later when he's like, Gary, if you get caught by the enemy, you're probably going to want to take your own life. So you'll need this. And he just pushes this like old rusty hammer. Like, as if. So I thought that was funny. And then another scene right after that I thought was funny. When you mentioned he was like the greatest actor. So they recruit him to infiltrate the terrorists. And the disguise that they put on, they make out this whole thing like they're like using lasers on his face to like mark out all the things that they're going to do to him. And all it is just like some brown shoe polish, which doesn't go around his eyes. Yeah. Some hair that's stuck to his face. And a white bath towel on his head.
I was going to say, it's an actual like towel that a woman would wrap around her head. Like, talk about cultural insensitivity. But I think that's part of the joke.
It is. And that's the whole joke about it.
That's it. It's like, and I love that they don't even change his clothes like through the whole thing. He's going to keep wearing the same clothes.
And the fact that he's able to like dupe these terrorists by just saying things like Durka Durka, Mohammed Jihad.
Jihad, I love how it was like 4 or 5 words. Yeah. It was just,
Oh my God.
Like I think at one point they're like, he's going east down East Urkadakalaka Street or something. You're just like, oh my God. Like, again, but they do that in South Park too. I think they did it here first, but then in the South Park shows where they have episodes where there's Middle Eastern characters involved, they always just go Durka Durka, a la Durka Jihad, and it's like, oh my God, how culturally insensitive. But
that's the point.
I guess
of it,
if you do it to that extent, it's clear that it's like, I'm not doing it because I'm racist. I'm doing it to go to the extreme to show how ridiculous this is.
Exactly. It's almost like the Archie Bunker thing. Like you're laughing at them, not with them, and that's the whole point. It's like showing that they're so disconnected and aloof that they just there's no self-awareness there, and that's where the humor comes from. Another scene that happens that oh my God, I forgot about, and when I saw it, I just laughed and laughed. When he's in the alley and he's drunk and he's walking home, and he goes down on all fours and vomits, and then there's a pause. And then there's more vomit, and then just more and more. And it's coming out like a hose.
Yeah.
I've always liked outlandish humor, and I always like it when humor just keeps going and going and going and going. I don't know why. I've always found that to be funny. And I feel like Parker and Stone are like masters of doing this.
Oh, no doubt.
There was an episode of South Park in season 5 called Cripple Fight. I don't know if you ever saw it.
Yeah, it's one of the best ones.
Oh my God. The fight just goes on forever and ever. And that's where the humor comes from. The fact that it just doesn't end. It's what makes it so funny. Another one that stood out to me was in Kim Jong-un's palace or Kim Jong-il's palace. they get trapped by Sean Penn, and he's like, we're going to release the Panthers, and it's just two black house cats, which I thought was funny.
So, when we saw that in the theater, my wife like was in tears, and even when we watched it today, she's like, I think that was the funniest thing I've ever seen in a movie theater.
It is funny.
Yeah, and I mean, it was funny when we watched it again, but we knew it was coming. But oh yeah, it's amazing how certain people like certain things. They like it triggers their funny bone, and that's it. She's like, "That's the funniest thing I've ever seen on screen."
That was hers, eh? And then I like further in that scene that they fight all the Hollywood celebrities. Like Susan Sarandon's tied up, and she's asking for help, but it's like a trap, right? And so they shoot her, and she falls all the way down. And then when she hits the ground, she just like splatters. And the one guy's reaction, he just looks and he goes, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, what was the part of that? And then the one guy's doing the wire fighting match with Samuel L. Jackson. Helen Hunt gets cut in half. And then the best of all of it, all this is going on. And Matt Damon gets smashed into the wall, and he's like in pain. And he's like, Matt Damon, but he's like in pain. It's so funny. So
he was I Am Groot before that was
yes. Exactly. And then, of course, there was the speech that that he gives at the end when everybody's there. When he's like, but also sometimes too much, and when it's not appropriate, and then it just cuts to spots when he's like, yes, Gary. I just laughed so much. It was so funny because he was so inappropriate the whole time. And then, of course, I think when we had Greg on, it was like a couple of months ago,
of weeks ago,
whatever, when we had him on and we were doing like our favorite, funniest scenes in movies, this one was like my number one, was the puppet sex scene. Like,
oh yeah,
it's just so crazy. Like, they get naked, they're just puppets, there's no genitals or anything, but they had to edit this scene 10 times to get it from an NC-17 rating down to an R. Now, you said you have the DVD. Did you watch the uncut version?
I did. I watched the uncensored version, yeah.
Which adds in a few extra scenes of what happens. Like,
so let me ask you this. In my version, there's a scene where Gary gives... What's the female character? Lisa?
Yeah.
Is that her character's name? Where Gary gives Lisa...
Yes.
And then there's a scene where she basically... on his face. Was that in your version? Did you watch the extended version, or was that the?
That was on the uncut version. So I'm watching the puppet sex scene.
I don't think those two acts were in the scene in the theater.
No, they were cut. They were cut from the to get it from the NC-17 rating.
Yeah, they
were part of the ones that were cut. And then when I watched it on DVD with the uncut version, I remember that scene. I'm laughing at it. It's all funny. Everything, and then those two things happen at the end. I'm like, oh my god! Like, I thought it was funny the way it was, because it's just it's so dirty, but it's so innocent too, because they're just puppets, which makes it so funny. And also, I love this song that they're playing. He's like, I need this, I need love, I need you, only a woman. It's just the song is so funny.
When I went to see this in the theater. We went on the first night because we're like, oh my God, we got to see this. And sure enough, within the first 10 minutes or so, some people were leaving the theater. We saw like a family that had brought children.
Oh my God, what are you doing?
You know, they basically got to the scene where it was everybody has AIDS. Okay, and they're like, okay, this isn't for our kids. And they left. And we saw, maybe 5 or 6 people leave in the first 15 minutes or so. Then after the puppet sex scene, which takes place like 45 minutes to an hour into the movie, this little old lady who's sitting in like the third row gets up and leaves. Like, she was okay with the movie until the puppet sex scene, and then it was like, okay, that's it, I've had enough.
That's where I draw the line.
And I said, like, we saw her getting up, and I was with Greg, and I was with my wife, and I said, is she going to get popcorn? And they're like, there's no chance, she's not coming back. And she didn't come back. Like, we thought, oh, maybe she's just going to the bathroom or something. Nope, gone. We're like, wow. It's like, I have a threshold, and when I hit it, I'm done. And it's like, okay, that's your threshold right there. So it always stuck with me. I'm like, really? All of those other outrageous things up until that point, you were fine with, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. No, puppet sex, I'm out. So
And these guys are so good at doing songs too. Like we saw it in South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. Like it's basically a musical. And the songs they do with Mark Shaman and stuff are just so good. Even the montage part. And just the other day I was watching Rocky 3. I put it on here at the house, and my wife is there, and then they show the montage where Rocky and Apollo Creed are like training. And I'm
running
like,
on the beach.
Yeah, and I'm like, oh man, even Rocky had a montage. My wife's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, because that was from an old episode of South Park too. The episode was Aspen, where Stan has to ski against one of the locals. Remember? But that one came out after the movie. It was in the movie first, and then was it? I thought it was in the show first.
Oh, I thought it was the other way
I'm pretty
around.
sure it was in the show first, because I remember seeing this in the theater and thinking, that's from the show. That's so cool.
Oh, maybe I was wrong. I always thought it was the movie first, and then they're like, well, we've got this great song, let's use it again. But in any case, but to your point, anytime now when watching TV or movie and a montage comes on, if I don't sing it out loud, I'm singing it in my mind. It's just so many things just work their way into your brain and become a part of your pop culture lexicon. And it's like, if you're watching something and they even say like, oh, we're coming up to a montage, like in my mind, I'm like, even Rocky had a montage. It's like this they just have that gift to put it in your brain, and that's it. It's living there rent free forever.
And it's not just one type of song either. Like they do country. Like that starts out with the slide guitar and they're like, freedom isn't free. It costs a hefty fee. They always get like the swearing in there, right?
Yeah.
But like they did country
freedom
songs.
costs $1.05.
Yeah, freedom costs $1.05. And then they got to get their commentary in there too. I liked it when the Pearl Harbor song.
Yeah.
I need you like Ben Affleck needs acting school. He was terrible in that film. It's like they're just using this song just to pick on people they don't like.
Yeah.
You know. And the song that Kim Jong-il sings, I'm so Ronry.
I'm so Ronry.
Oh, and they just keep rolling the L's the whole song. I'm so Ronry and sad Ron. Like it's just, oh my God. And then of course the song you mentioned, the major one, which is America.
America.
That song punctuates the whole movie, right?
It totally does. And I love that their base is in Mount Rushmore. It's like, where's the most American place we can put their base?
Yep.
It's like, oh, of course, it's got to be in a mountain with the president's faces on it. Like,
and it's not only that they're singing, you know, America, yeah, like that's funny and stuff, and it like puts a point home. But then they just add swearing in there for no reason. And it's like, lick my and on my. Like, why is that lyric in there? Like, oh my God.
All week since we watched it, my wife's been walking around and singing that. And I was like, because again, we forgot that those parts, all we knew was the main word, America, yeah. But that's all anyone ever does. And then, so now that we heard the rest of the lyrics, it's like, well, we can't forget them. We better keep singing them.
So again, proving that they're funny. They could do songs. They could do it all, you know. And then they took this even a step further, and then obviously went to Broadway 7 years after this came out. And just, oh man, these guys are good. I'm glad we went back and watched this movie. I thought it was great.
No, it really stood up well. I really enjoyed it. I knew I was going to like revisiting it. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. I think I liked it, like you said, I think I liked it more this week. Well, maybe not more than when I first watched it, but equally as much, but probably for some different reasons.
Mm-hmm. And I think there was just so much to get out of it, you know, on this viewing that I didn't get last time. So you want to give it a rating out of 10 for me, please?
Ooh. I think I'm going to go with an 8.5, but I want to give it a 9, but I'm going to stick with an 8.5.
I'm going to really go out on a limb here. I'm giving it 10 out of 10.
Wow.
I'm going to give it 10 for what it is. It's so groundbreaking, and it's just so unique, and it has so much to say and so many great songs, and it's so funny. It hits every single note. It hits every single note, and it doesn't let up once. And when there's not something going on in the foreground, it's going on in the background, and the details that they put into it. Like there's even like, I don't know if you remember at the very beginning when you're seeing France, the details in the set, the cobblestone was all croissants.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
When you get a good look, especially now I'm at my house watching it on my big screen TV in high def. Like the puppets themselves, they've got like the one of them had like a little like a nail clipper hanging off his belt. Like there's all these little details that are going on. This movie is absolutely fantastic. It hits every single note. It doesn't let up. It's great from beginning to end. It looks great. It sounds great. It is great. It's a 10 out of 10. That's right.
It's strong. Yeah,
So
I'm
good.
I'm gonna change mine to a 9. You talked me into it. I was on the fence. I'm gonna go up to a 9. Yeah, no, this is great. If you haven't seen this movie, please watch it. And if you haven't seen it in a long time, go back and revisit it. I think you're gonna find, like Chris and I did, there's gonna be stuff in here that you didn't remember, and you're gonna see this movie again and think, wow, this is holding up well. Like it really does. Like some of these movies we go back to, we have a lot of criticisms about why they don't hold up. This one could be released today, and I think it would do just as well.
Exactly. That was another thing that really stood out. This movie could come out today, and it would just be like the exact same.
Yeah.
I agree. Just that good.
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Okay, what do you say that we have some?
Fun with Caveman.
All right, well, there is a game that we like to play around here, and it goes a little bit like this. Pick the flick.
Yeah, pick the flick. You get the synopsis, then pick the flick. You get the year, pick the flick.
We play this game all the time, so you know how it works. I give you the year, I give you the synopsis of the film, you just give me the title of the movie. And the common thread, every single movie is so easy, you're going to get them all, okay? Every single film has either America or American in the title.
Oh, okay.
Super easy, okay? So we're going to start with some really easy ones. 1988, an extremely pampered African prince travels to Queens, New York, and goes undercover to find a wife that he can respect for her intelligence and strong will.
That would be Eddie Murphy in Coming to America.
All right, going back to 1981, 2 American college students on a walking tour of Britain are attacked by a werewolf that none of the locals will admit exists.
Yeah, this is An American Werewolf in London.
See, I told you, you're going to get them all right?
Chris,
1999.
correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry. Hey, you have not seen that movie, have you?
I have not seen that movie, no.
Oh, we're
Believe it or
definitely
not, I have not seen that movie.
We'll wait till October when it's like Halloween-ish, but we'll revisit that one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's watch it around Halloween. That'd be good. I'd like to see it. I remember watching a small part of it on the movie channel when I was a kid, and I remember thinking Jenny Agutter was so beautiful. To this day, I still think, oh my God, she was so beautiful. That's the only thing I remember from it. I never watched the rest of it. Okay, 1999.
Right, yep.
4 teenage boys enter a pact to lose their virginity by prom night.
Yeah, we did that one on this podcast, American Pie.
Okay, also from 1999, a sexually frustrated suburban father has a midlife crisis after becoming infatuated with his daughter's best friend.
Oh, that was the Kevin Spacey one. That was called, was it American Beauty?
Yes, it took home Best Picture in 1999.
Yeah.
Okay, 2011, a rejected military soldier transforms into a superhero after taking a dose of serum. But his transformation comes at a price as he attempts to take down a warmonger and a terrorist organization.
Was that the Marvel Universe Captain America, the First Avenger?
It was, yes. Okay, 1995, a widowed U.S. president running for re-election and an environmental lobbyist fall in love. It's all above board, but politics is perception, and sparks fly anyway.
Yeah, it's a great one. It's The American President.
All right, 1990, a young pilot finds himself recruited unwittingly into a covert and corrupt CIA airlift operation in Laos during the Vietnam conflict.
Was that just called Air America?
Yes, with Mel Gibson and Robert Downey Jr. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go back to 1973. A group of teenagers in California's Central Valley spend one final night after their 1962 high school graduation cruising the strip with their buddies before they pursue their varying goals.
Was that, I know I'm going to screw this up if this is the right guess. Was that the one, A Wet, Hot American Summer?
No, it was George Lucas's American Graffiti, my friend. It was American Graffiti.
Never saw it.
Come on. All right, 1998. Living a life marked by violence. Neo-Nazi Derek, not you, finally goes to prison after killing 2 black youths. Upon his release, Derek vows to change. He hopes to prevent his brother Danny, who idolizes Derek, from following in his footsteps.
Yeah, this is a really good movie. This is American History X.
This next one's a little bit different. This one's a TV mini-series. Okay? From 2003, several disparate but connected individuals go through the AIDS crisis in the mid-1980s.
Right. Everybody has AIDS. Sorry, the answer to your question is Angels in America.
All right, 1984, a former Prohibition-era Jewish gangster returns to the Lower East Side of Manhattan 35 years later, where he must once again confront the ghosts and regrets of his old life.
Was that one just simply called Once Upon a Time in America?
It was. You're doing so
never
good.
seen it, but I sort of knew what it was.
Yeah, you know the broad strokes of it, right? Okay, 2013, a con man, Irving Rosenfield, along with his seductive partner Sidney Prosser, is forced to work for a wild FBI agent who pushes them into a world of Jersey power brokers and the mafia. 2013. Believe it or not, I actually saw this movie in the theater at the time.
I'm just going to take a wild guess because I have no idea. Is it called, is it called American Made?
No, it had Christian Bale and Jennifer Lawrence. She's the reason I went to see it. I like Jennifer Lawrence. I'd see her in anything. American Hustle was the name of it.
Oh, yeah. It's funny you bring that up. I just listened to a podcast today about Silver Linings Playbook, and they were talking about American Hustle.
Yeah, it was pretty good, actually. Okay, 1985. A husband and wife in their 30s decide to quit their jobs, live as free spirits, and cruise America in a Winnebago.
Oh, was that... did that one have Albert Brooks in it?
Yes, and Julie Haggerty.
Yeah, it was called... I'm not going to get it. I don't know.
Lost in America.
Lost in America. There we go.
All right, this last one is easy, but I'm making you give me the full title. This is where it gets hard.
Okay.
2006. Kazakh TV talking head Borat is dispatched to the United States to report on the greatest country in the world.
Yeah, I don't know the full title. Borat, I don't know the rest of it. Yeah.
It's Borat, Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan.
Yeah, no.
Really
you could offer me $1 million. I wouldn't come anywhere close to that.
I think I probably could have got that one because I like that movie so much. I could probably remember that title if it was forced on me. So, all right, you did pretty good. You missed a couple of them, but overall you did pretty good. Gave you quite a few of them.
Yeah.
So,
I got a couple that just wild guesses, but a couple I didn't know.
And some of them you kind of knew, the rough idea. So it was all good. Okay, so we're going to take a few weeks off for vacation, my friend. You're going away. I'm going to get some time off. This Friday I go on vacation, so I'm really looking forward to it. So our producer Sloth has promised that he's going to put together a few best of trivia episodes. He's going to run those while we're on vacation for the next 2 weeks.
Very good. Very nice.
I'm putting him on the spot for that one. So
there you go.
I'll tell you what. So we're going to take a couple of weeks off, then we'll come back. And until then, I'm Chris McBrien. On behalf of myself and Derek Myers, we want to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.